What's going on, Simulings? Chris here from AppSumo, and super excited because we have another product walkthrough webinar for you today. Today we are joined with Thomas from SecondLineThemes. If you don't know, SecondLineThemes helps you create professionally designed modern WordPress websites for podcasts and audio projects. It's on AppSumo right now, starting off at just $49 for lifetime access. So we're going to dive into the tool in just a minute. Before we do, two quick pieces of housekeeping. One, if you have any questions about the product, click the Q&A button below if you are on this live, and we'll circle back to your questions at the end if we have any. Number two, we will be sending out a recording later. So if you miss anything that you want to go back and review, or you have to jump out early, you can always check it out there in the replay. But other than that, Thomas, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Chris.
So we got your screen share pulled up right now, so you can just dive into it. I know that's what people want to see. I will turn off my camera for the time being. Will you go through your walkthrough, and then I'll pop back on towards the end to go over some other things.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so hi everyone. So here we have just a basic empty install of WordPress. So that's what you see when you have a brand new WordPress site. Typically I would do these kind of webinars on a local install, but it could be cool for you to just check out this URL here, and you can just follow live on your own device. So yeah, let's just start and go into the dashboard, and then go into appearance and themes, and we just loaded all of our themes here. So if you get the AppSumo deal, you get all of these 5 themes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's just pick one and just dive in. Once you activate the theme, you'll be redirected into a very short wizard. This helps just to get everything set up properly. You don't need to do too much here, so just follow the steps. For example, this first step is for installing a child theme automatically. So just let's click install and go to the next step, which is the license. When you redeem the AppSumo code, you'll be able to insert a license key here, and then get updates whenever we release an update. So just place your license key here. We'll just skip this step for now. And here you can install the recommended plugins. I would recommend to just install all of them and then disable some of the plugins you don't plan on using through the WordPress dashboard. So let's just click on install. You can also check the plugins here and then disable a couple, or just see all of the installed plugins. And yeah, this might take a little bit longer since we're on a live domain here. So the last step of the wizard is to import the demo data. So this will just make your site look exactly like our own theme demos. So for example, if you have a brand new site, an empty site, it would be a pretty good idea to just import everything here. If you already have a bunch of posts, pages, whatever, you can skip this step or just do it later. We'll import everything now. You can also disable, for example, just the content or a few other items. Yeah, so let's just run the import. It might take about a minute or so. As soon as you import a content, you can just check the live website, and then you'll see it's exactly like the demos. If you do have pre-existing content, we also note it. We note this here. It might be a good idea to just be sure that, to import the demo data, or just import some of the templates we have. Because if you have an existing home page or navigation, this may override some of those. But it's not a big deal. You can always delete the demo data afterwards. And looks like we're all set now. And let's click on view websites here. And that's it. You can now check this domain if you have already checked it before. It's now looking exactly like our Tucson theme demo. Yeah, so that's how the theme looks like once you install it. And now we'll be going over a few key items that are part of the theme. So this is the home page. We have 5 different themes. Each one has a different home page. But the core features are pretty much similar. So you have here the episodes. If you have a podcast, obviously, this is why you're looking into this video. You'll want to set up your episodes and upload an audio file. And each episode has its own page. You can also check here and write custom show notes or whatever you want. And these controls are actually kind of new. We just added a couple of weeks back the skip back, skip forward, and the speed controls. We have a bunch of different layouts for the episodes, so we can just review quickly a bunch of them. You'll see that we have a couple of filters here. You can, of course, just limit this to one category or a few categories if you don't want to show all of your categories. And then check all the posts here. And we also have a list, just like you can see on the homepage. All right. And you can change the different columns. So obviously it would look a bit more, I wouldn't say dense, but you know, you can't really show an audio play. I mean, you can turn it on, but it's not going to look so good. So we just prefer to keep showing the audio player when it's when there is a bit more space. And as you can see, we also hide some of the controls here due to the space. All right, so this is the episodes area, and now we can just check one of those and edit those with the WordPress editor. And once you're here, this is the new editor, which is since WordPress 5.0. You may know it as the Gutenberg editor. So you can either use this block editor or the Elementor page builder to edit your posts and pages. And when you have, for example, this post has the default background image, and you'll notice you can have a custom image per episode or per post. You can do the same for pages. And then if you want to include an external embed code, so this can be from your podcast host or from YouTube, for example, you can paste the code here. You can also use the WordPress audio short code here. And yeah, if you're using the Seriously Simple Podcasting plugin, this is the example we're using here. You can just link your MP3 file here and add some additional info, which would show here. So for example, the duration and the file size. And this is actually where you control the actual audio. If you do want to or plan to serve your podcast RSS from your podcast RSS from your WordPress site, you can do so with this plugin here, the Seriously Simple Podcasting plugin. There is also another plugin called PowerPress, which can do the same thing, but you're not limited. You don't have to use one of those plugins. You can also import your own podcast from another host. So let's say you have a podcast hosted with, for example, Libsyn or podcast.co, which is another AppSumo partner. You can go into the tools and then podcast import. This depends on a plugin we created. So yeah, whenever you have a need to import a podcast, you can just place the RSS URL here and then just choose, you can import it into the podcast section or into the post section. It's completely up to you. You can make sure to save the posts as draft instead of publishing them immediately. Change the author, select a couple of different categories, or connect to one of the shows, and we'll go into the shows in a few seconds. And this is probably the most important feature of this plugin, of the import process. You can set this to ongoing import, and this will just run once an hour and import all of your podcast episodes, the future ones. So say you record a new episode next week, it's going to be automatically posted to your WordPress site. So this is a very cool feature, and you can just create a bunch of different imports. For example, if you have 3-4 different podcasts, you can have all of them imported once an hour, and it's going to import all the new episodes from each. And you can import the image or just try and use an embed audio player from your podcast host. This works with about 6 or 7 different podcast hosts. Yeah, so this sums up more or less the episodes, your podcast episodes. And let's now go into the shows section. The shows section is, I would say it's not for everyone. It's mostly for people who have more than one podcast or one show. So let's say you have a podcast network, or you're just recording a lot of different podcasts and you want to display them separately. You can do so with the shows section. And let's just check one example. So each one of those shows is a different podcast, and you can link each one of them to a different website if you want, or just display a bunch of subscribe buttons. You can, of course, change these and just add as many buttons as you want. We have about 40 to 45 different providers here. And for each show, you have a small description and then a bit longer here, and all the episodes that belong to this show. So this is a pretty cool feature that you can just play with if you have more than one podcast. This is, for example, a video post. So you can see the video here. It looks a bit different than the audio posts, and it's a Vimeo video. But if you just look at it here, it won't show the video since it's a bit too big, but it's possible to resolve, but we can provide help. So with custom CSS to resolve this and show the video here, but it's not as recommended as showing a small audio player. And yeah, so we went through the episodes and the shows section. You can also have a blog section with a bunch of blog posts. All the different pages, the demo pages, are controlled by Elementor. So we'll just quickly go over that. And this is a page builder plugin. You don't have to use it. You can use the default WordPress page editor, or you can use any other page builder. But we include a bunch of different elements that are included. So you can just add and just play with the different layouts. So for example, if you want to display a different column count, We can also have unlimited posts on the page. So this would obviously load a bit slower, but you can also add an infinite scroll option or load more button that would show below. And there are really a bunch of different settings you can check. This is both for design and for layout or settings. You can choose the post type, and there are a bunch of different options. And lastly, all the theme options would be in the appearance and customize screen. So whenever you install the theme and want to change the general options or the global options, you'll see it here. And you can just change those. For example, the header background color. And that's just as easy as changing color here. So you'll find all the different options. These are more global options. And then when you edit a page with Elementor, you'll find a bunch of different options as well. Yeah, so I'm not gonna just go into too many details here, but you get the, I think this goes through the main parts. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help now via the Q&A section.
Awesome. Thanks for going through that. We'll jump into those questions in just a minute. Again, anyone on here, if you have questions, drop those in the Q&A box below the video. Before we get to that though, Thomas, would you mind going to the AppSumo deal page and going over kind of what is included in this deal on AppSumo?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just one moment. All right, so as you can see, we have all 5 themes included. So we saw the themes here. And that's all the themes we have right now. If we do work on new themes, you'll be able to use those as well as part of the AppSumo deal. And if you get the single code, you can have 5 active domains. And with the double one, you can have unlimited active domains. And this can be, each active domain is just, if you activate a license key on your domain, it counts as 1, but you can deactivate it and move it to another one if you need.
Awesome. That's great. And how about the product roadmap for you guys? Is there anything coming up that you guys are working on or excited to share with the community?
Yeah, so we don't have a public roadmap right now, but for example, I mentioned it briefly during the video. We did just release the new audio player, and we also just released, and this is probably about a week before the AppSumo deal went live. We also have now a playlist widget, and this would be, you can actually add a playlist from either your existing WordPress posts or from an RSS feed. So this is a pretty big addition to our themes. Yeah, and we do plan to add a bunch of integrations with the newer podcast hosts. We have a couple of new features we're planning to release, and one of the biggest, probably one of the biggest integrations we're working on is to fully include those widgets with the WordPress block editor. So this is coming in the next few months, but we don't have any specific date on this yet. But this would mean you could just choose whether to use Elementor or the WordPress block editor.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, cool. I do see we got a few questions here that I can read out to you now. All right, so let me get my video back on. So Boris is asking, I noticed that you currently don't have a blog in any of your demos. Is it possible? Is that a possible feature to add?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, we do have a blog right here on the Tucson theme demo. Okay. So if you go here, not sure why this is now the podcast episodes, but just resolve this quickly. Okay. So if you go to the blog page on this demo site, you'll be able to see the blog section. I'll just show it real quick. Okay, so these are the blog posts, and you can just add a few of them and just see how they look. Yeah, so we do have this, and this could work with any of the themes. We also have a tutorial video about that specifically in the documentation, so you can check how to set up a blog alongside your podcast.
Awesome. Great. Cool. Next question. Will you be adding additional WordPress theme designs beyond the 5 that are currently available?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We do plan to add some new themes. It's just not our kind of immediate focus right now. We started off by creating more and more themes. I mean, it's a total of 5. It's not a million, but we added 5 themes. And we kind of realized it's better to keep improving those themes constantly. And we're able to ship a lot of new features and improve those themes when not working on new ones. But we do want to have, modern design, and we do think we'll have a couple of new themes. Hard to say when, but we do plan to release a couple of new ones. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. And another question, are your themes optimized for SEO? And are they mobile responsive?
Okay. Yeah. So mobile responsive in 2020, I think if someone is not mobile responsive, it's a serious problem. So yeah, we are. And SEO, we do use the best practices, but it's really common in WordPress to use an additional plugin on top of the theme. So for example, probably the most popular one is the Yoast SEO plugin. So you can use that plugin on top of the themes, and it would work just perfectly. Yeah, but we do optimize the themes for SEO, that's for sure.
Awesome. Great. And let's see, someone, Will is saying, I missed the import bit at the beginning or got confused. Can we import the podcast from our current WordPress website, such as greenelement.co.uk/podcast?
Okay, so yeah, you can, if you already have a WordPress site. So if you plan on using our themes into an existing website with existing posts, then you don't need to import, right? And if you do want to import posts from one WordPress site into another one, you can just use the built-in WordPress export and import features. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, that is the end of all of the questions that we had. So Thomas, thank you so much for taking the time to walk through all of this. Again, Sumo Links, Second Line Themes is available on AppSumo right now, starting off at just $49 for lifetime access. So as you saw, it's a really cool tool to get your WordPress site set up for your podcast or any of those audio projects that you're working on. Really appreciate you guys joining us today. Again, it's backed by the AppSumo 60-day guarantee. So feel free to get it set up, get those pages going. And if you have any questions, you can always hit us up, leave them on the deal page. I'm sure you can also hit up Thomas's team directly for any other questions that you guys have. But Thomas, do you have any last things to say before we sign off?
Yeah, not so much. I mean, yeah, feel free to just ask questions either on the deal page or directly via email. We're just happy to help.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys bringing this deal to the AppSumo community. We're really excited for it, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.